Next.
From NBC News in Washington, this is Meet the Press with David Gregory.
Our issues this Sunday. The president calls it the most dangerous place in the world. The front line in the war on terror is now the rugged frontier lands of Afghanistan and Pakistan. It's where al-Qaeda terrorists and the Taliban have come back with a vengeance in the years after 9/11, and where the White House has decided to surge more than 20,000 additional U.S. troops. This week, an unprecedented White House summit with the region's leaders, and a warning.
The security of Pakistan, Afghanistan, and the United States are linked.
Is it America's war or their war? And is it winnable? With us exclusively this morning, President Asif Ali Zardari of Pakistan and President Hamid Karzai of Afghanistan. Then insights and analysis on why these two countries now represent the most pressing national security challenge to the Obama White House. With us, Steve Coll of The New Yorker magazine, former longtime foreign correspondent and senior editor of The Washington Post, and author of the best-selling book Ghost Wars, about Osama bin Laden and the U.S. engagement with Afghanistan. And Andrea Mitchell, chief foreign affairs correspondent of NBC News.
But first, the presidents of Pakistan and Afghanistan. I sat down with both leaders earlier this week after their White House meetings. Pakistan's President Zardari, in office for the last 8 months, is the widower of slain Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto. I began by asking about the Taliban and whether he agrees with the Obama administration that the group represents an existential threat to his country.
No, I consider the philosophy of Taliban as a threat to the world. Not just to Pakistan and your country, but I feel it's a larger threat.
An existential threat to Pakistan?
Pakistan, the whole world. And they start from the Horn of Africa and come down all the way to Pakistan. They don't evolve from Pakistan and go up. They come down.
Do you consider the Taliban to be a bigger threat today than India?
I consider it's a different... India is a country and Pakistan is a state. We're two states which... In fact, Pakistan stemmed out of the subcontinent, out of India. So it's a different relationship. It's a different...
Where is Osama bin Laden?
You all have been there for 8 years, you tell me. You lost him in Tora Bora, I didn't. I was in prison. In fact, my wife warned America about Osama bin Laden in '89. She rang up Senior Bush and asked of him, are you destabilizing my government? Because he paid the then opposition $10 million to overthrow, for the first woman elected in an Islamic country. So we knew that he was your operator. And
so you're not actively looking for him?
I think the world is looking for him. And we are part of the world's lookout brigade.
Do you think he's alive or dead?
I've said before that I don't think he's alive.
And you believe that?
I have a strong feeling, and I have sort of reason to believe that, because I've asked my counterparts in the American intelligence agencies, and they haven't heard of him since 7 years.
Mr. President, thank you very much for your views, and good luck with your work.
Thank you, sir.
Coming next, 7 years after 9/11, and the war rages on with the insurgent Taliban still controlling parts of Afghanistan. Can the government regain control? And the tough issue of civilian casualties due to U.S. airstrikes. Some harsh words from President Hamid Karzai. Our exclusive interview from earlier this week is next.
Meet the Press is brought to you by GE, Imagination at Work, and by the Boeing Company.
Mr. President, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Happy to be here.
President Obama talked about the deterioration in Afghanistan during a speech back in March. This is what he said.
The situation is increasingly perilous. It's been more than 7 years since the Taliban was removed from power, yet war rages on. Insurgents control parts of Afghanistan and Pakistan. Attacks against our troops, our NATO allies, and the Afghan government have risen steadily. And most painfully, 2008 was the deadliest year of the war for American forces.
So here we are 7 years after the attacks of September 11th, 2001. Another American president is committing troops to Afghanistan, 21,000 additional troops. By the summer, there'll be 68,000 U.S. troops. My question, is it too little, too late?
Well, a very important question indeed. When we Western media, even if it is milder than that, it is wrong and it will be repealed, it will be removed, and the amendment will be made in this law. So the Afghan people don't want that, and the Afghan people are sensitive about it. I assure you that it's been done, and it's something that really embarrassed us when it came out. We are a lot more aware in nation, a lot more culturally good in nation than sometimes we are seen in the rest of the world.
So in democratic Afghanistan, it is illegal for a man to rape his wife?
Absolutely, like hell, sure.
All right. Mr. President, thank you very much. Good luck with your important work.
Thank you.
Coming next, some perspective and analysis on our interviews with President Zardari and Karzai. What now for the U.S.? NBC's chief foreign affairs correspondent, Andrea Mitchell, and The New Yorker's Steve Coll, author of the Pulitzer Prize-winning book Ghost Wars, about the CIA's involvement in Afghanistan and Pakistan. After this brief station break. We are back, and joining us now, Steve Coll of The New Yorker and Andrea Mitchell of NBC News. Welcome to both of you. We've had a chance to watch those two interviews. And to frame this discussion a little bit, Doyle McManus in the Los Angeles Times writes in his column this about Pakistan. And I'll put it on the screen for our viewers to see. The United States has just acquired a new client state, he writes. One with 170 million people, nuclear weapons, an Islamist insurgency, and Osama bin Laden. And that's the good news. The country is Pakistan, and last week it officially became the Obama administration's biggest and most daunting rescue mission. Steve Coll, take a moment to explain why it's so important for Americans to take the time to understand this threat in all of its complexity, both Pakistan and Afghanistan.
I think Doyle captured it. Two primary reasons. Pakistan, and particularly the border area along the
more protracted fight with U.S. troops on the ground in Afghanistan.
I think the U.S. public wonders why we're there, but the truth is that we have to be there while Pakistan is at issue, its stability and its government is at issue.
All right, we'll leave it there. Andrea Mitchell, Steve Coll, thank you both very much. And coming next.
And my next 100 days will be so successful, I will be able to complete them in 72 days. And on the 73rd day, I will rest.
Highlights from President Obama's night as comedian-in-chief to the press and official Washington. Next on Meet the Press. Before we go this morning, some highlights from last night's White House Correspondents' Center here in Washington, where the president met the press with some comedic jabs and one-liners.
Good evening, everybody. I would like to welcome you all to the 10-day anniversary of my first 100 days. I am Barack Obama. Most of you covered me. All of you voted for me. Now, Sasha and Malia aren't here tonight because they're grounded. You can't just take Air Force One on a joyride to Manhattan. I don't care whose kids you are. Which brings me to another thing that's changed in this new, warmer, fuzzier White House. And that's my relationship with Hillary. You know, we had been rivals during the campaign, but these days we could not be closer. In fact, the second she got back from Mexico, she pulled me into a hug and gave me a big kiss. Told me I better get down there myself. During the second 100 days, we will design, build, and open a library dedicated to my first 100 days. It's going to be big, folks. In the next 100 days, I will learn to go off the prompter, and Joe Biden will learn to stay on the prompter.
Just a taste from the White House Correspondents' Dinner last night. And we'll be right back.
Teach a teacher about energy, and we can help a generation build a better future. That's why ConocoPhillips is working with National Energy Education Development, conducting experiments that help our children understand energy and the importance of conservation. getting kids interested in math and science, bringing energy to life. So we can pass on what matters to the ones who matter most. ConocoPhillips, energy for tomorrow.
Why is it raining? Lose the rain.
Roger that.
No rain, no rainbows.
Could you tell us what's going on?
Yeah, your cake is en route, the tulips just arrived, and the groom is...
He's getting cold feet.
I'm okay. No, I'm not.
Look, we gotta go now. The light's perfect.
I need the stunt groom now. What's a stunt groom?
Jackpot.
Get work done now. Nextel Direct Connect with GPS tracking. Only on the Now Network.
Want to keep your kids safe online? Not like this. Talk with them about posting personal information and set controls to block content.